So without further ado, I'll just really quickly, this is going to be the order we're going to go through. We have the amazing Mr. Brian Fleming and the U.S. Army Brian Fleming. We have U.S. Marine Corps Shawn Lopez, United States Coast Guard Martha Laguardia-Kotite. We have my teammate, Mr. Ray Cashcare. We have Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, and then who is married into the Navy family. So we'll shout that out. And then we have Mr. Brent Magnussen, U.S. Army. So it's going to be a great talk. And without further ado, I want to get things going with Mr. Brian Fleming. Brian was a United States Army veteran. He is a combat wounded Afghanistan veteran. He is the creator of the Leadership Battle Plan, which is a 9-point communication framework based on proven military battle strategies that shows leaders how to communicate clearly so that their companies will start to grow. He is the author of 4 books. He's spoken to over 500,000 people in live audience over the past 13 years. And Brian knows he can help leaders communicate clearly so at any time your company can grow and flourish. So it is my honor to introduce a fellow speaker, friend, and teammate, obviously out there doing some amazing things. So Mr. Brian Fleming, please take it away.
Hey, thanks, Jay. I appreciate that. And like you said, I'm Brian Fleming, and I help leaders communicate clearly so their companies can start to grow again. One of the big things we see is that a lot of leaders struggle to communicate clearly. A lot of people are saying things, but they're not entirely communicating clearly. And so what we did is we took combat-proven communication strategies and put it into a simple framework that you can use in your life or in your company to start getting everybody on the same page again and moving forward productively so your company will grow. Because the truth nowadays in our current climate, our current culture, is that one of the biggest enemies facing organizations is confusion. Most companies waste an enormous amount of money on leadership training that most people just don't implement. It gets confusing, it's unclear, there's too much, it's presented in too much of a confusing way. And so what people do is they revert back to their old style of doing things, and therefore nothing improves. And it creates drama in the workplace, and then numbers suffer, and sometimes layoffs happen. There are all this ripple effect of things that go bad when leaders and managers don't communicate clearly. When people implement training that is clear and simple to understand, things grow. And having a clear 1-page mission plan that everyone understands and consistently implements and executes on is the fastest way to get any organization growing again. Now, I can't share all 9 parts of this with you today, obviously for the sake of time, but I've chose 3 parts of this battle plan that I do want to share with you that are some of the most important pieces. And the first piece is clarifying your mission. Most people, most leaders, most managers who are in charge of people, in charge of rallying people together to get them on the same page and moving forward in the same direction productively, they struggle with this. Why? In war, there's a thing we call the fog of war. And basically, when you're in something too much, when you're too close to something for too long, you start to miss things. You start to miss some of the obvious things that you need to pick up that can be to your benefit, but you also start to miss things that can be to your detriment, that can actually destroy you. In a war zone, it's life and death. In your company, it's still life and death. The life and death of your company, or a living for somebody, or somebody not making a living anymore and their family suffering. These are important things. And when I was in the military, every time before we went out on a mission as a team leader in an infantry platoon, I would go around to the 4 or 5 guys who were under me, and I would say, what's the mission? What's the mission? What's the mission? I would ask them individually when they're not together, and they all had to repeat it back to me. They all had to know what the mission is. They had to know, I would say, what frequency are we on? Radio frequency for communication. Because if that guy's the radio guy and he goes down, this other guy has to know what frequency we're on or how to call in an airstrike. So everybody had to be on the same page. And you might think, well, that's combat. That doesn't apply to us. Well, it does apply to you. And here's the thing. Let's say, for example, you're in a company, maybe a financial company, that you're in charge of a retention team, and your mission is to retain as many employees as possible. You might say, for clarity, a mission for your people, our mission is to retain 30% of the people who call in today to cancel. So What's the mission? You could ask 10 of your employees and you'd all get the same answer. What's the mission? Retain 30%. 3 words, retain 30%. There's a lot more to it than that, but everybody knows that retaining 30% of people who call in to cancel, that's the mission. It sounds simple, but you'd be blown away at how many people don't do that. And again, we all do it because we're all too close to our own thing, our own company, the thing that we do every day. We're too familiar with it that we look past obvious things. And so the second thing that a lot of leaders overlook is they overlook the real enemy. They're not able to identify the real enemy. What most people see as the enemy force destroying their company, their department, or sapping the productivity of their people, that's actually not the enemy. What they're looking at, in most cases, in many cases, is they're looking at the effects of an enemy. They're looking at the outcome because of the presence of the enemy, but they haven't actually identified the actual enemy that's attacking them. And let's just face it, if you have bleeding on the brain, you can't just put a Band-Aid on your forehead and say you'll be okay. No, you have to go to the root problem, and that root is the enemy that's causing that. And so you might think, well, our competition is the enemy. Yeah, they're probably one enemy, but there's also economic shifts, there's market shifts, there's pandemics, there's internal propaganda, gossip, people talking amongst each other because nobody's clear on what's going on or who's responsible for what. And that internal propaganda turns toxic, and it can sap the productivity of your teams. And as a result, it can actually destroy you. And as the leader, end of the day, you're responsible for whether or not your team wins or loses. You have to accept that responsibility. So identifying the real enemy that you're facing that is coming against your productivity and your success as a team leader or a company leader comes down to really identifying what that real enemy is. Because now, after you do that, then you'll know exactly what you need to do to address and destroy that enemy and defeat that enemy. All right, and the third thing is to create a 3 to 5 step plan that everybody can easily understand and implement. Now, I get pushback on this sometimes because you may say, well, in our department, we have 50 different things to do. Well, give people a 3 to 5 step plan. If you had to break those 50 things down into 3 to 5 steps, what would those macro steps be? What will those big steps be? Because people can understand that more simply and they'll follow them. So let's just say this. I got to my unit with the 10th Mountain Division. Great war example here. What was our mission in going to Afghanistan? There were 3 things. Deploy to Afghanistan, identify enemy location, neutralize the threat. All right, so it was literally everything revolved around that. And we all knew what the mission was. We knew what the plan was. We're going to deploy, we're going to find the enemy, and we're going to fix them, whatever that means. Take that however you want. I won't say it the way we said it, but basically we're taking care of the threat. So look, think about how this applies in your department. If your department's mission can be broken down into 3 to 5 steps that everybody needs to follow, and then their individual responsibilities might break off from there, everybody is flowing on the same page, going toward the same mission and goal. Because look, I served as a team leader in an infantry platoon with the 10th Mountain Division in Afghanistan. You know, I was in 2 vehicles that were blown up and totally destroyed. The first by a roadside bomb. The second one when a suicide bomber exploded right next to me in his vehicle and I was in mine. I woke up in a ditch on the side of the road, burned and bloody. I spent 14 months at a medical center in San Antonio, burn treatment, reconstructive surgery. I got married 3 months before I deployed. And now I've been married 14 and a half years to the same woman happily. I've written 4 books on leadership, resilience, and like Jay said, I've spoken to all those people. I've spoken to all kinds of organizations, from associations to small businesses to Fortune 500 companies. You've heard of them all, some big banks that I think are actually on this call. I've spoken for them. Here's the deal. When you have a clear message, when you lead in a clear and a simple way, when you know how to do that, you'll become invaluable to the company or the organization that you work for. So again, I don't say any of the things about me to brag about myself. I want you to understand these concepts that I teach with the leadership battle plan. I use them not only to put my life back together, I use them to keep my marriage together when I was basically half dead for 14 months. And I also use these same concepts to build and grow a successful speaking business and writing and speaking all over the world. I've spoken in 42 US states and 7 countries and on 4 continents over the past 13 years. And I use these same concepts to overcome, by the way, I have a traumatic brain injury, so I have memory issues. And so I've used these same exact concepts. Like I don't create goals. I create battle plans and I carry them out. And I want you to be able to do the same. So if you don't remember anything else I say from this video, just remember this. If people are confused, your team, your department, your company is going to lose. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can you can communicate better with your people so your company can start to grow again. And there are a lot of people doing it. I'm doing it, and you can do it too. Thank you.
Brian, awesome, man. I tell you what, in this time, I know that there's a lot of people out there that are obviously struggling with their mission. I think for so many people, the missions have been turned on their side, and obviously their ability to communicate that mission and to drill it down into those simple steps, man, that is gold. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. All right, so our next speaker is Mr. Shawn Lopez. Shawn is a United States Marine Corps combat veteran, Purple Heart recipient. He served 5 years in the Marine Corps, including combat tours in both Iraq and Afghanistan. Shawn experienced heavy combat with the Taliban during his time in Afghanistan, including multiple explosions from IEDs and from indirect fire. Shawn, if you want to come up, bring up your, yeah, man, it's great to see you on here. Shawn is a graduate of our Overcome Academy, a leadership program I ran for Wounded Warriors years ago. And man, he is just on fire out there trying to help others be the best versions of themselves. Those indirect fire blasts left Shawn with a traumatic brain injury that has impacted him across his life, although he's overcome those injuries, including impacting his ability to speak. So from his challenges as a young Marine, lead men in combat, to learning how to overcome his injuries and speak again, Shawn now shares these lessons to help others, including all of you, to grow. So it is my honor to introduce United States Marine Corps Devil Dog, Mr. Shawn Lopez.
Oh man, you got me with the double D, the Devil Dog. Hey, thank you again. I truly appreciate it. So, here, give me 1 second here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Shawn Lopez. As Jay stated, I am a United States Marine combat veteran. Today, I'll be discussing with you my personal lesson on how I overcame individuality through leadership. And this is named after Individuals Kill. Before I get started, I want to give a quote by Phil Jackson. The strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. My purpose today is to tell you my story of how I overcame individuality through leadership. The hardships and challenges that I face as a result of not knowing the difference between the me mentality and the team mentality. How proper leadership eventually changed my personal perspective and responsibilities as a small unit leader. Okay. In 2007, I enlisted into the United States Marine Corps at 17. I turned 18 in boot camp. During boot camp, the drill instructors would try to get us to remember these ditties. What is a ditty? It's a chant that would help us remember the Marine Corps knowledge, such as the first female Marine, Overmaid Johnson. Complacency kills. Individuals kill. Okay? For being a junior Marine, I was a hard charger. In boot camp and the School of Infantry, I was a squad leader, a team leader, depending on what day the drill or combat instructors liked me. Known as a pit bull, I quickly earned the position of being the the attack dog to herd the other junior Marines. As I hit the fleet, I quickly began realizing that there are different levels of leadership. Us at the small unit leadership level, which is your platoon and squad level, we have our own billets. I was assigned to 2nd Marines, 2nd Battalion on Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. During this time, I was no longer just a basic Marine. I was a infantry Marine, and I was able to gain the billet of point man. The point man has a very important and specific job, is to call out any threats and or concerns that he may have during a patrol. Unfortunately, it's also the first to maybe get shot by a sniper, to step on an IED, or to enter an ambush point. To many junior Marines, this was an honor. To those who didn't need an ASVAB waiver, not the guy you wanted to be. During my tour in Iraq, I deployed to Iraq in 2008, and we were there for roughly about 9 months. This was a challenging deployment due to our organization. We had young Marines that brought the company many challenges, whether it was drug abuse and or hazing, insubordination, and the result of that was, one, a threat to kick the whole entire battalion out of country, and two, a company commander was relieved of his duties. Okay, my senior Marines taught me quickly how not to conduct myself as a Marine, or by being belligerent, insubordinate, and overall just nasty, to the point of where us junior Marines had to step up into these leadership roles. I was assigned the billet of team leader and was responsible for 3 other Marines within that squad. After returning from Iraq in 2008, we had already gained orders prompting us that we would deploy to Afghanistan. During this time, a transition phase happens where Marines get assigned to different units, and or they end their time on active duty. And it also allows for the new Marines that have just graduated from basic training and School of Infantry to come join the ranks as well. I stepped up as a squad leader. I was the youngest squad leader within the battalion, and also the youngest ranked as a lance corporal. I was not ready to take on this task. Okay, in this same time, we received a new company commander by the name of Captain Vince Noble. This guy looked like G.I. Joe himself, was silent, humble, and professional, and that was his motto. Though a lot of us didn't know exactly what that truly meant. So as we proceeded to deploy to Afghanistan, I deployed to Afghanistan in October 2009. As soon as we hit the ground, we experienced heavy fighting. We were in the process of relieving 2nd Marines, and we definitely did not give them the respect that they deserved. These Marines had just been inserted in the largest helo insertion since the Vietnam War, and they were doing heavy fighting, and they took several casualties, and several Marines lost their lives. Me being the young dog coming in, I wanted to jump into the fight as well. Okay, and these are big shoes to fill, and I immediately judged them off the back by their appearance. They had holes in their shoes. They had holes in their pants and shirts. No shaves, haircuts, just nasty Marines. And in my eyes, not realizing, that they had just been through one hell of a fight and they were ready to go home. Finally, my Marines landed and we were ready to join the fight. During this time, we also have a transition of a left seat and right seat. Left seat and right seat is where they lead first, and then we take over as change of command happens. During the change of command, there was a time where that Marine unit did not want to go past a certain line, and they clearly threw a tantrum about it, and we ended up returning back to base. So it was one of those things where I felt that these guys were cowards. I had the nerve to truly call them cowards. Now it was my time, and I truly faced hard lessons here, where at the end of the day, I was not ready to lead Marines on the battlefield. On February 15, 2010, while conducting operations in Helmand Province, excuse me, in Helmand Province, we were conducting a clearing mission. During this time, we were clearing what I call Plymouth Rock, and the nickname was called IED Rock. If you can have any guess as to why it's called IED Rock, yes, it was filled with IEDs. At the end of the day, I truly missed my moment to act as a leader when I followed orders in which put myself and others into harm's way, and it ended in the result of one of my personal Marines dying. This was a tragic and traumatic situation, but nevertheless, my Marines performed their duties out to a point where it was outstanding. The medevac bird was, from the time that the IED went off to the time that the bird landed, it was a 7.5 minute touchdown. And if there was any chance of that Marine living, it was that day, but he was killed instantly. When it counted, I failed to speak up. I wasn't silent. I wasn't humble. I wasn't professional. At the end of the day, I compromised the whole entire mission, because through my actions after the blast, I lost composure. I threw radio equipment that other Marines had to go look for. We took away Marines from the fight, all because I couldn't handle loss in that time. When it counted, I failed to lead, listen, and protect my Marines the way that the squad leader from 2A did when his Marines said no. Okay, so today I'm taking away from the fact that these actions of leadership, I've learned what not to do. I've learned how to follow and what true leadership is. And at such a young age, I don't think I was truly ready for that. And it came to a point where when you take a step back and truly evaluate what it is leadership is, I look after Captain Vince Noble, where he truly amplified leadership. Again, Jay, I want to thank you for your time, and thank you everybody for listening in.
Shawn, awesome, man. Thank you very much. An amazing story. I think there's so many stories that are out there. Shawn, if you can stop the share of your screen, and there's so many amazing stories that are out there that are learned from our military members. I mean, just the lessons that we learn on the battlefield are absolutely just breathtaking. They're awe-inspiring. And the amazing thing is there's a lot of points that are relatable to the civilian world, how we lead, how we focus on ourselves, how we build teams. So Shawn, awesome. Thank you for sharing your story. It is now my honor to introduce our next speaker, retired United States Coast Guard Captain Martha Laguardia-Kotite. Her message is be bold, be first, be you. And her bold leadership style empowered her to be one of the very first female officers to serve and lead aboard 2 U.S. Coast Guard cutters with all-male crews patrolling the Pacific and Atlantic and down in the Caribbean seas. She remained true to herself while changing the rules of engagement. She rised, like I said, to the level of captain, which is 1 rank below admiral for those that don't know. And now she's an experienced TEDx keynote speaker. She's using her own sea stories. She is a prolific author. I believe it's 5 books, right, Martha? And she is out there sharing her messages and motivating and inspiring people across this country. So it is my great honor to introduce Martha as our next speaker.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much for that great introduction. And I'm so delighted to be a member of this esteemed group. And my thanks to each of you who zoomed in today from around the United States and even overseas. That's so exciting to see you on board with us. I am an empowerment enthusiast. I help redefine what a person can be and can do. Ever since I lost my older brother to suicide when I was in high school, I've been motivated to make a difference. If I could in some way, my goal was to save lives and empower others. So today I do this being an author of 5 books, including one called So Others May Live, about Coast Guard rescue swimmers. They're amazing, incredible, extraordinary missions with the air crew that they serve with to save lives. I do this being a TEDx speaker, an advocate of nature, the oceans, and of life. And I do this talking about suicide prevention. And I do this as a proud veteran of the United States Coast Guard, having served my country for over 29 years at sea and ashore. So for business, why is empowerment important? For dealing with change or the storm that we are in now? The data shows us empowerment is essential for a person's vigor, for their dedication to work, to their job. And empowerment leads to personal wellness and satisfaction. And even better, it also leads to fun. Empowering leaders are more effective at influencing creativity. And now more than ever, I think we can agree we need to focus on what comes next, and business will have to be reinvented. So it takes empowering leaders who are more likely to be trusted to help influence employee performance in a positive way and empower their people to think outside the box. So my presentations help teams realize their potential, what they can be and can do. I love empowering people and businesses to redefine themselves and help them weather the storm. One of my presentations is called Leading Your Crew Through Calm and Turbulent Seas. And as Jay mentioned, I've been on a few boats, so I know about turbulent seas, but also in a sense, I think today we all recognize that we are all in the same storm, just not in the same boat. So from my decades of service at sea and ashore, dealing with the aftermaths of hurricanes, events of national significance, oil spills, and even mass migrations where people were migrating, fleeing their countries for America on anything they felt could float for freedom here. So I infuse all that I've learned from my frontline experiences and the lessons that I've learned, along with my stories that I've written about these extraordinary men and women. One of my books, in fact, is called Changing the Rules of Engagement. It's a collection of stories of military women who, because they were empowered, redefined what women can do in a male-dominated environment. They were courageous, they were brave, and they had mentors who did not look like them. So I pulled from my collection of stories and my career leadership lessons to create another presentation called Creating a Culture of Empowerment. Be bold, be first, and be you. These are my personal rules of engagement, which have guided my own empowerment to rise to senior officer level in the Coast Guard. For me, being bold empowered me to be one of the first female officers to serve aboard 2 Coast Guard cutters with all-male crews, patrolling the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and Caribbean Sea. Let's talk a little bit about this. I can't share with you the full presentation, but being bold, being first, being you. My rules of engagement. Let's attack the first one a little bit. Being bold is being daring, confident, even intrepid. And I looked it up, even plucky. A bold leader seeks engagement, is compassionate, empathetic, has feelings, and candor, and wants to know what his or her team's needs are. How about being first? Being first is empowering. It can be for an individual or a team. But sometimes I think, especially with the younger generation, they feel that all the firsts have been taken. Well, I would say not, especially in the situation we're in now, where we need to redefine our business. There's going to be plenty of firsts around for everyone. And being first takes leadership of the right kind. Sometimes, how about being the first to follow when the situation calls for it? Because do we know everything? And in fact, I think sometimes some of the best information comes from those we work with, those on our team, if we just give them a chance to be empowered. My last rule of engagement is be you. Be authentic to who you are, the jobs you want to do, your passions, and focus on being the best you can be while working hard to the best of your ability. Looking back at my decades in the Coast Guard, being an officer, a mother, and a wife, I faced challenges. I made plenty of mistakes, and at times I was even afraid. And I learned a lot along the way. I discovered my courage, how to be me. And I grew to become an empowering leader to help teams work through events of national significance. I can help you create your rules of engagement so you can weather the storm. Another area I'm passionate about is suicide prevention. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. It's also around the world. For me, it's very personal and has been a lifelong commitment. You see, I lost my older brother to suicide when I was a senior in high school. I learned how short and fragile life can be. And while in the military, I directed and co-produced a suicide prevention video to help the military train in that way. I also trained as an assist advocate, and I volunteer now with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I know with more awareness of the aftermath, we can prevent suicides. If suicidal people are aware and know about the massive void they leave behind, the tragedies that they create because of their loss. But you know what? We can make connections. We can help. So suicidal people will know they are not alone. We each have a place and a purpose in this life. And we are obligated to help others see the light when all they feel about them and surrounding them is darkness. We're obligated to help them return to the light and realize their purpose, their value, what they can be and can do. I'd love to talk more about this with your business, your team, with you. We are all in new territory. We are all in the same storm, in different boats. And I believe we can use our collective ingenuity, our compassion for others, our foresight and candor to see us through to safe harbor. Storms come and go. They don't last forever. And with each sunrise, we're given a new horizon, a landscape from which we have space to carve out our place, own it, empower each other and ourselves, lifting each other up. And I'd like to help empower you and your team to redefine what you can be and can do.
All right, Martha, awesome. Thank you. Obviously, an amazing message with a lot of years and years of experience in leadership. And I got to tell you, I mean, Martha touching upon the impact of suicide. I know it is a huge passion of mine, you know, focused on the mental health area. I think there's so many out there that are struggling, especially in the veteran space. So Martha, thank you for what you were doing. I know that you can deliver a powerful message of leadership on all sides. So, all right, guys, we are going to roll into our next speaker, my teammate and friend. He is my co-host on our podcast, the Overcome and Conquer Show. He literally brings the boom. I have spent a lot of time with this man in some of the hardest crucibles. We went through Hell Week together. Mr. Ray Cascare is a former Navy SEAL. He now is a peak performance expert who's taken his lessons learned from the battlefield and he applies those lessons to business and to the home field. He lives by his 4 F-bombs, which I know he's going to talk about, and his conquer, attack the hill mindset. And if you do not follow Ray, I don't even have to say, Ray is known for his direct approach to life and fitness. He is full of the fire. I love doing the Overcome and Conquer show with Ray. If you are not following that, you should be. But it is my great honor to introduce my teammate and friend, Mr. Ray Cascare.
Thank you, LT. Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you to the esteemed colleagues that are on here and obviously everyone that's listening. Guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I used to do, the TVs and all that stuff. What I'm here to do is tell you what I bring to the table now. And what I bring to the table now, guys, is I am in the business of you. I am in the business of reshaping, remolding, and reverse engineering the way that you program yourself and how you attack the hill, which attack the hill is my representation of how you attack life. So let's get into it. First thing we do is we have the conquer mindset. In order to conquer anything that you want to focus on in life, and there are 4 things, I call them my non-negotiables. They're my 4 F-bombs: family, fitness, finance, and faith. Whether you're at the top of your game or at the bottom of your game, whether you're on battlefield, the business field, or home field, they will apply to what you do. That's number 1. Number 2, what I've applied is I've taken things from what I've learned from the battlefield. So in SEAL training, we learn how to shoot guns, and you have 7 points of performance to master to become the expert of what you are going to do. Now, you have to apply each one of these steps, which we don't have time to get into, to make you the expert. And this is what I'll tell you. Time plus effort equals results. And what I do is I come in and I teach you how to use those same 7 points of performance, but they're mindset drills and techniques so that you can accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Will you be an expert in it overnight? No. But my goal is to get that shot group smaller and smaller to get you whatever that is you're aiming at, which is your target. And it's something going to usually with business or your family. And the thing is you can apply this mindset not just to one thing. Because what I do, which is so unique, and I know we have some other military forces on here, is I want to make you the Navy SEAL, the tier 1 operator of exactly what it is you do. I speak all around the country, and the first thing I do, I go on before Jason, and I always say, who here wants to be a Navy SEAL? No one raises their hand. And I go, good. Who here wants to be the Navy SEAL of whatever it is you want to do or apply your mind to? Everybody raises their hand. So that's what's so great. So let's get into it, okay? The way that you're going to attack life with the conquer mindset is this. Each letter stands for something, and I don't have time to get into all of it, but here we go. The C is the clock, ladies and gentlemen, all right? Time is a precious commodity. So what you need to do is you need to get up and attack the hill every day. One of the points of performance and homework drills I give to each and every one of my, anywhere from one-on-one coaching clients to the corporate level to the extreme course that we do called the project, is I tell people, no matter what time you get up, I want you to get up 10 minutes earlier. And they go, why, Ray? Because I want you to prioritize, strategize, and figure out a way to monetize your family, your fitness, your finance, and faith. And I understand everybody on here are business owners and CEOs, but what you need to understand is you are the CEO of yourself. So you need to figure out a way to better yourself so that then you can apply that to everything else in your life. So clock, okay? Get up earlier. O is what? CO, obligations, all right? Your obligations right now are your family, your fitness, your finance, and faith. And faith is the ability to believe in yourself, okay? N is your non-negotiables. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you are a CEO of a company, you are a warrior, or you're a mom or dad or whatever, there can be no plan B, all right? I used to work for Lieutenant Redman, and if we had to get from point A to point B, we had to get there. Best, average, and worst case scenario is the mindset you need to have. So that's your non-negotiable. Quit. Listen, guys, CONQ, quit. Quit the excuses, quit wasting time, quit procrastinating, and let's start making it happen. U is unlock. Piece of advice I can give you here is the same thing that I taught my daughter. Use it in your household, use it at your workplace, and use it for you. Write a motto of life of who you are and what you want to be. I get up, my daughter says it every morning, I'm a champion, I'm a winner. All I do, guys, is I go into your companies, I go into your homes, I go into your fitness centers, and I teach you how to reprogram yourself to be a winner versus a lot of people go through life with, hey, I'm going to get up and do an average job, and then tomorrow is another day. I'm going to reprogram you just like they did in the SEAL teams for what we call a TST, as time-sensitive target, ladies and gentlemen. All right? You only have so much time, so what you do with it is crucial. Okay? So unlock. You need to unlock that beast. E is educate yourself, guys. You must educate yourself. Homework, I tell anywhere from Fortune 500 CEOs I talk to to troubled youth, read. If you read 20 minutes a day, double it, no matter what. Surround yourself with subject matter experts. That's why you're here. All right. Educate yourself. I was guilty of it. And the R, ladies and gentlemen, is repetition. Nothing happens overnight. The people that are on this panel did not become successful overnight. All right. And that is the conquer mindset. Now, what you need to do is apply that and the 4 F-bombs to the 4 pillars of success. All right. If you want to be the Navy SEAL of whatever it is you do, it is this. It's teamwork, problem solving, leadership, and communication. That's it. I've worked with one of the greatest leaders on the planet, Jason Redman. The reason why he was such a great leader is because he was such a great communicator. All right. That's what you need to understand. So the 4 pillars of success, I don't have time to get into it. What I do is I teach you the teamwork, the problem solving, the leadership, and the communication. And then if we want to dive into it even more, guys, and ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, is everything that you do requires, in that we talked about problem solving, which actually in turn means decision making. Now I'm going to give you my civilian term for it, and I'm going to give you my SEAL analogy for it. But it's this: you write down these 3 things: ask, make, and take. And right beside that ask, it would say analyze, assess, and execute. And all you're doing with that in life and in business and at home and the battlefield, which right now, which we're currently going through, may all coincide each other, is ask yourself, what is the problem? Then once you've figured out that problem, you have to make a decision. Jason Redman is such an elite leader because he makes decisions. And after that, which is the ask or the analyze, assess is to make a calculated decision. And then from there, you have to take action and execute. Speed of implementation, ladies and gentlemen, in everything that you do is crucial. And what I'm going to do when I come to your business with the LTD project, which is Leadership Team Development Training, is we break down and we expose the deficiencies that you have in the teamwork, problem solving, leadership, and communication. And then we reprogram you with your decision-making skills, because most people who make decisions in business, in battle, and in home field act on emotion, or they leave one of those steps out. So what I'm here to do is to teach you how to slow down the chaos, control the chaos, if you will, so that you can apply yourself using the 4 F-bombs, your 4 pillars, and become the master of you. And I just want to recap, ladies and gentlemen, with my motto is attack the hill. Get up every day like you've won the lottery and attack everything that you set your mind to. Why are SEALs so successful in everything we do? It's because we believe in that time-sensitive target. You have to attack each second of each minute of each hour of each day. You go to sleep, you get up, and you do it again. And I promise you, Jason Redman and I have cleared many rooms where we've gone in and had to make life-altering changes and decisions in a split second. And there is no difference between being that warrior, that CEO, or that parent, or of whatever it is you do. I'd like to thank you all so much for your time. Jason, it's been an honor. Thank you, sir.
Ray, awesome, brother. Thank you. Such powerful words, and thank you for the kind words about me. I love listening to you. I love listening to that powerful message. Obviously, I'm a little biased being a team guy, so I love hearing it. But guys, it is absolutely true, man. What Ray talks about, figure out how to set that path in your life. Figure out how to attack that hill. Figure out how to prioritize those 4 F-bombs that Ray talks about. And I guarantee you will see greater success in your life. So, all right, our next speaker is the amazing, the incredible, the talented Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, she is known for her expertise in optimizing some of the world's best athletes, Wall Street leaders, CEOs of companies, and even special operations personnel. She has studied nutrition, preventative medicine, and fitness, and she understands deeply the fundamentals of the immune system. So right now, a lot of people are focused on, oh my God, how do I deal with this? Well, I tell you what, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon doesn't just talk about how to deal with it and have a strong immune system when there's a COVID-19 crisis. She talks about it all the time and how that's going to make you stronger, a better version of yourself. It's the reason why other special operations members come to her to absolutely be the best version of themselves. Because when the body is strong, your immune system, your mind, emotionally, you're stronger. That is what she talks about. She married into the SEAL community, so she has a great appreciation and respect for our veterans. And it's my great honor to introduce Dr. Gabrielle Lyon.
I'm so pumped to be here. And do you all want to know a secret? I have a secret. As a matter of fact, by the time this is done in the next 10 minutes, you are going to know the secret to longevity. My name is Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, as Jason pointed out, and I practice something called muscle-centric medicine. I am the physician that elite military operators seek out, the doctor that other doctors see, and the average number of physicians that my patients see before they get to me, 13. And do you know why? For one simple reason. There's one reason why. It's because I understand and know that muscle is the organ of longevity. That's right, folks. You heard it here first. Muscle is the largest endocrine organ in the body. It's not just for looking good in a bikini or a mankini, depending, Jason, Ray, whatever you wear, but it is so much more than this tissue for locomotion. It is your organ of longevity. It's responsible for everything. This group is all about optimization. You want to be optimized now, and also for the longevity, the trajectory of your career. If you want to prevent diabetes, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, Alzheimer's, the key fundamental aspect of that is understanding that muscle is an endocrine organ. And when you keep it healthy, and there's multiple ways to keep it healthy, and really we're going to focus on one particular way. The other aspect of that is that muscle is responsible for your metabolic currency. You're like, well, what does that mean? Muscle is responsible for your resting metabolic rate, everything that you burn at rest, how much you eat. It's responsible for a large portion of glucose disposal, which is carbohydrates, the carbohydrates that you eat, and for fatty acid oxidation. Everybody's talking about high cholesterol. Well, muscle, that's right. Muscle is the key to longevity. Right now in our community, especially during this COVID crisis, and really overall, everybody is talking about obesity. They're focusing on the problem. But really, the issue is not about being over fat. The issue is about being under muscled. And once you understand the key fundamental aspect about optimizing this tissue, you know, you have a cardiologist that looks at the heart, you have an endocrinologist that looks at the thyroid, but muscle as the largest endocrine organ in the body, keeping it healthy determines everything about how you age, how you perform, and how you think. Okay. So now you know not about being over fat. It truly is about being under muscled. What is the number one thing that you can do to optimize muscle tissue? And really, when you think about muscle tissue, again, it's not just looking good in a bikini. It is everything about how you think, how you function, how your immune system works. If you get sick, your survivability is directly related to your muscle tissue. The number one thing that you are going to walk away from is understanding that high quality dietary protein is what anchors your plate. I want you all to write that down. Never forget it. The takeaway action: 1 gram of high quality protein per pound of ideal body weight. So for example, I weigh 125 pounds. My protein consumption needs to be 125 grams. Now, if you understand this concept, if you get this right, and you proportion your meals out, which we'll talk about, you do that with your first meal, by the second meal, you'll feel better. Again, this is about optimizing your mind, optimizing your immune system, optimizing your body composition, especially as it relates to right now and through the trajectory of your life. How you do that is through high quality protein. And why is that? Why high quality protein? Because high quality protein at a particular amount, and listen, I'm going to give you a little details here because I know a lot of you people are number people and you want takeaway actions. The ideal protein amount per meal is, are you ready? And my husband loves this. It's 30 to 50 grams of protein. So you're like, well, what is 30 to 50 grams of protein? I know you're all dying to know this. It is between 4 to 6 ounces of high quality protein, and that's beef, bison, chicken, turkey, eggs, whey protein. You hit that meal threshold and you begin to stimulate this organ of longevity, which is muscle tissue. You get that at the first meal, you get it at the second, and then if you're really going for optimization and you get it at the third, you now stimulate throughout the day your muscle tissue. And as you age, it's really interesting. I mean, no one likes to believe that we're aging. I mean, I guess it's happening. As you age, your body's response to protein changes. It means that you become what's called anabolically resistant. And means that you actually need more protein at one time to stimulate the tissue. Makes sense. Think about it. When you were in your 20s, you could eat a Twinkie diet. Amazing. You're, wow, I just ate a Twinkie diet and now I'm ripped and shredded and I look amazing. Well, but if you continue that through after high school, college, the freshman 15, the COVID-19, however you want to phrase it, right? If you continue to eat the way you did when you were younger and your hormonal status was, say, more optimized, then you continue those behaviors in your 30s and 40s, the tissue doesn't respond the same. So in order to get maximum benefit, you need to have a robust protein meal to meet what we call that leucine threshold. Once you reach that leucine threshold, you can stimulate your muscle protein synthesis and begin to change your body composition. When you change your body composition and you augment your muscle tissue, guess what? You lower inflammation. You lower inflammation, you decrease your risk factors for cardiovascular disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's disease is type 3 diabetes of the brain, and it's directly related to midlife weight gain. So the wider your waistline, the lower the brain volume. Understanding that muscle is the key fundamental of this whole spectrum of medicine will change the trajectory of your day-to-day life and change the trajectory as you age. So number one, high quality protein, understanding your dosing, which is 1 gram per pound ideal body weight, breaking that up into meals of 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal so that you can overcome that anabolic resistance, which naturally happens when you age. Testosterone changes, estrogen changes. These are all necessary for muscle function and strength. So by augmenting this and really understanding this, you can actually get this right at breakfast and feel better by lunch. Interestingly, let's talk what else protein does. Protein is a necessary fuel for the immune system. Can you believe that? And you're probably thinking, wow, well, what about carbohydrates? And I only have 2 more minutes. My husband over there with the baby hanging out, telling me 2 minutes, and I will tell you, let's talk about carbohydrates very quickly. You must restrict your carbohydrate meal threshold, 50 grams or less, okay? You don't need carbohydrates. The body generates all that it ever needs. So you wanna optimize muscle tissue, you wanna take control of your aging. The way you do that is you optimize your muscle tissue through dietary protein. And I think I'll end it right there.
Boom. Secret to life is protein. And you had me at Jason Redman in a mankini. That's what I heard.
Hey, I wanted to bring you in.
I appreciate that. You brought me in all right. Everybody's scarred. So, but seriously, guys, Dr. Gabrielle knows what she's talking about. You know, there's so many fad diets that are out there, guys. And everybody's looking for the next best thing. But the reality, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. And that's what she teaches. She teaches, you know, how we eat our proteins, how we do these things, how we work out. sleep, nutrition, and fitness, and you can be the best version of yourself. And obviously, Dr. Gabrielle has the ability to help you achieve that. So, Dr. Gabrielle, thank you to you guys. So, all right, our last amazing speaker is Mr. Brent Magnussen. Brent is a U.S. Army veteran. He is an author, professional speaker, and he was a U.S. Army engineer. He's an adventure seeker, self-proclaimed human test subject for peak social, mental, and physical development. Brent and I have done some events together. He has become a friend of mine. I have rolled with him at one of the jiu-jitsu clubs up in Chicago that he likes to train at. And next week, his much anticipated book, Roger Up, is getting ready to drop. And it is all about how we create an amazing routine so that we can be the best versions of ourselves. So he also sits on the board of the Resilient Warrior Foundation, a nonprofit organization that provides veterans and first responders free jiu-jitsu classes anywhere in the country. They can reach out. So they're a great organization, and Brent sits on the board for them. So it is my great honor to bring on my friend, Mr. Roger Up himself, Brent Magnussen.
Jason, thank you so much for that intro. And thank you all of you for sticking around. We started with the Army, and we're going to lock this down with the Army. Kicking ass since 1975. Thank you all so much for tuning in. So I only have less than 10 minutes, and I want to start that off with a quote by Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. This COVID-19, this Kung Flu is exactly that. It's the proverbial punch in the face. It's thrown all of our lives upside down. Some is at the highest level, and some we haven't seen too much change, but still our day-to-day lives are affected. So I'm going to cover 3 things today in less than 10 minutes. Let's see if we can get it done. Motivation, goals, and books. Granted, the first topic of motivation is a hot buzzword. The last 2 things aren't the sexiest things to talk about, but I promise we're going to tie it all together. And you're going to leave here in less than 9 minutes now with a lot of stuff that you can use to take immediate action. So motivation. In Spanish, it's motivación. In Italian, it's motivazione. You can say it any way you want, but at the end of the day, motivation means certain things to certain people. But at its core, I look at motivation, believe it or not, because I have a love-hate relationship with it. I look at motivation as a one-night stand. You're probably thinking about a one-night stand you had. Maybe it was good, maybe it was bad. Most of you probably did the walk of shame. We won't go down that road. But looking at motivation like a one-night stand is exactly how we should shift and start to look at it. Because all motivation is temporary. You can watch a Jason Redman video, a Ray Kerr video, Tony Robbins video, a David Goggins video. Hell, you might even go out afterwards and run 2 or 3 miles. But the reality is motivation is temporary. And not enough of us look at it that way. It's taken me years since getting out of the military to realize that motivation, something I yelled every day, dozens of times a day in the military, is just temporary. If it were a drug, motivation would be cocaine. I've never done it, but from what I understand, it lasts 30 or 45 minutes and then you're done. Then you got to go back and get more. Our goal should be to shift from motivation to its bigger, more successful older brother or sister, which is becoming driven. Becoming inspired and being driven. See, motivation doesn't have a plan. It's chaotic, it's sporadic, it has no consistency. Being driven has all of that. Look at motivation as the 100-yard dash. Anyone you can think of right now, the 2 legs and a heartbeat, could probably get out. Times are going to vary, but could get out and run a 100-yard dash. Even if they walked it, fine. Becoming driven? Driven is the marathon, the 26.2 miles, the hellacious hump, if you will. And it's tough and it sucks, but that's good. That's what we need. So I'm going to encourage you to look at motivation as a 100-yard dash and becoming driven as this amazing, beautiful, tough, rugged marathon. Keep in mind also that, use the analogy of the tortoise and the hare. I want you to take that hare, that sprint, that motivation, take the hare, shoot it, skin it, and have it for dinner tonight. And embrace the suck, but more importantly, embrace the tortoise. Out of every spirit animal, out of every animal I've ever wanted to be, I never thought I'd say I wanted to be a tortoise, but I'm slowly becoming one. And it's a beautiful feeling because I'm embracing being patient. I'm embracing the grind, and I'm embracing understanding that motivation is very temporary. Again, it's chaotic, it's sporadic, it has no plan. So how do we get that plan? We need a map. Any one of you military folks out there that's been in the military and done land nav, you know you get a compass, you get a canteen, that's about it. Go from A to B. At least you have that map. And that map we're going to talk about with Becoming Driven is just that, an acronym, which we have an acronym for everything in the military. This map is a massive action plan. There's no map with motivation, with that one night stand. It's sporadic, spontaneous, it happens, and it's over with. You're in, you're out, no pun intended. When it comes to this map, the number one thing I've found with mentors and working with guys like Brian Tracy, our goals are the absolute most perfectly built one-way street to making your vision a reality and crushing and dominating anything you want in life. So real quickly, I'd like to invite you to do a quick exercise. You don't have to complete it now, but if you could, take out a piece of paper. At the top, write goals. And next to that, write today's date. Now, I actually encourage you to do this tonight. So you can take notes, but do this tonight. Because what's going to happen is you're going to write out your top 10 goals you want to accomplish in the next 12 months. Anything you want to do in the next 1 year, you're going to write down those top 10 goals. And here's a couple of hacks on how to write them. I've done goal setting workshops. I said, okay, write down 10 goals. And most of the time you see lose weight, make more money. Your goals need to be so rogered up and so dialed in that your brain, your subconscious, you need to treat it like a highly sophisticated computer program, a robot that only takes orders. Your brain, this is right here, this is the general. And your entire body and your actions are all the hardcore, die-hard, roger up soldiers out there ready to take orders, get out there and crush. So by stating your goals a certain way, and most importantly, by writing them down, you're giving your subconscious direct orders. And if you read those out loud before you go to sleep, I promise you, there are a few universal truths in this world. 1, Epstein didn't kill himself. 2, Lee Harvey Oswald didn't shoot Kennedy. And 3, your subconscious is a perfect machine. And when you go to bed, right after you read those top 10 goals out loud, I promise you, that perfect subconscious machine for 6, 8, 10 hours, however long you sleep, it's working on those goals. It's working on those goals. And it's a beautiful thing. When you write down your goals, here's a couple of quick hacks. 1, don't do the lose weight. Don't do the make more money. Make them positive. Make them personal. Make them now. Start every goal with I, me, I. I weigh 195 pounds on September 1st. You have a deadline. You have an action verb after I, and you have exactly a perfect plan out in front of you what you want to do. I want to make more money. No, I earn $110,000 1 year, April 28th, 2021. So then next to that goal, you're going to write 10 of those. You're going to circle the one you think you can accomplish the most, but more importantly, the one that means the most to you, the one that has the most impact on you, on your family, on your whole quality of life. Let's use weight because that's a big one. Right now, people are sitting around and their routine is so thrown around that by 7:30 at night, they're on episode 4 of Tiger King. They've just crushed an entire pint of Rocky Road ice cream and they're celebrating like Borat. The great success, I crush ice cream. Don't be Borat. Be disciplined. Be that guy, be that gal that has those absolutely definitive goals. Have that burning desire to crush them. So you circle that one. Next to that one, we'll use weight for an example. Don't just write, I will weigh 195 pounds on September 1st. Take more action. At least 10 more things next to that that you can do immediately to start making that happen. 1, I commit to drinking a gallon of water a day. 2, I wake up at 5:30 every day, 0 excuses. It's non-negotiable. Treat it like war. 3, I eat vegetables 5 days a week. 4, I don't go to Portillo's. I don't go to Chick-fil-A. I don't crush 2 pizzas. I only do that once or twice a week. I dial things back. I exercise, no matter what, mandatory. I pay myself first. Before the first hour that I woke up, before the first hour is up, I've done a minimum of 15 minutes of exercise. I've smiled. I've been thankful for being alive, and I'm ready to go. The last thing I want to talk about is books. I haven't, it's so funny. This is my first Zoom call. And this is like this. This is new to me. I'm used to speaking in front of people. I don't have my timer going, so hopefully I'm under the 10 minutes. I'll be quick. When it comes to books, I am a book nut. And I mean, I've always been a voracious reader, but in this lockdown mode here in Chicago, we have some interesting people in power, we'll say. So we're locked down until at least June 1st right now. And it makes you kind of feel like everyone's not essential. There's never been a bigger time. We can talk about all the negative stuff. You can watch all the BS media and news you want. All they want to do is scare you and bring you down. It's like the proverbial crabs in the bucket. The second you start feeling good, the second you start getting back in shape, they pull you down. It's nonsense. Ignore them. Put all of your time into bettering yourself, getting more tools in your tool belt, becoming a better version of you. But I have more books here than you can count. I mean, I consume books like a fat kid consumes Twinkies. It's out of control over here. 3 books I'm going to throw at you real quick because they've changed my life. I read these books over and over. If you've read them, congrats, read them again, I beg of you. If you haven't, please read these. Book number 1, Brian Tracy, one of my mentors, one of the smartest guys I've ever met, and he has far less than a high school education. No excuses. Power of self-discipline. It's never been needed more now than ever. It's never been needed more. Outwitting the Devil, Napoleon Hill. This is arguably one of the best books ever written. Yes, there's the Bible. Yes, there's some phenomenal works out there. I'm a big Hemingway guy and Fitzgerald. This book will change your life. Please read it. And finally, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy again. The best book I've ever read on procrastination. I am guilty of it. Just because I've been deployed with the U.S. Army, just because I've been able to have some success in my life doesn't mean I don't struggle with procrastination as well. I'm kind of the morning routine guy, and that's why I didn't talk about it today. I wanted to talk about something different. But I'm kind of known as the morning routine guy. I have an entire chapter in my upcoming book, Roger Up, entitled The 0530 Blueprint. So I'm all about that. But the problem is procrastination doesn't care what color you are, doesn't care what sex you are, doesn't care how old you are, doesn't care how much money you have. Procrastination is an equal opportunity hater. And it's a mamma jamma, we'll say. This book, single-handedly, it is such a quick read. It's so small. This book will change your life. You can read it in one day, and it will help you battle, literally battle procrastination, the way Jay and Brian and Shawn and Ray literally battled terrorists effectively. You will kill, you will assassinate procrastination. I don't think I have much time left. I'm looking for a clock here, and I don't know where I'm at, so I'll just say I'm looking forward to the Q&A. I find that to be the most valuable part of these meetings. I've done some stuff with Jay in the past. Ray's become a friend. You have over 75 years, folks, of collective military experience in here, not to mention a phenomenal doctor who married a military guy, which makes her even cooler. And I'll just end with this. If you are a company out there, if you are a small business owner, a medium-sized business owner, or a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, right now is when legends are going to be made. Do something very simple that your competitors aren't doing. Tonight, go online and buy all of your employees this copy of this ebook. Send it to them. Ask them to do a report on it. It's due in 1 week. And the top 3 reports that you see on it, get a $100 gift card to a restaurant when it opens up in 3 years. Whatever it is that you need to do to separate yourself from the competition, because I promise you right now, some of your competitors are on the couch watching Tiger King, crushing Rocky Road ice cream, and you're not. You're out there, you're getting after it, you're on seminars like this, you're reading books like this, and you're leveling up every single day. I hope you guys got something out of this. I don't know how long over time I went. I'll give it to Jay. Roger up, everyone.
Brent, awesome, man. I loved it. Don't be a Borat. I think that might have, you had some amazing one-liners, the whole thing. I love the message. So obviously, guys, if I can bring all my speakers back up, come on up. And I just want to say, Brent, thank you. Real quickly, I want to go down the line. I'd love all my speakers to tell where they can be found on social media, guys. I highly recommend you follow them. They put out great content. They're making things happen. And then we'll jump into answering some of these questions. So just because it's how it's on my screen, very first one, Brent Magnussen, where can people find you?
So the best place right now is just on Facebook, Brent Magnussen. And if you guys have any questions about me speaking, please contact Eagle Rise Speaker Bureau. My book, Roger Up, will be launching. Looks like it's going to be 2 weeks from today on May 12th. The foreword is written by the esteemed Jason Redman. Ray Kerr made a contribution. Brian Fleming made a contribution, along with a bunch of other amazing people. So Facebook, and I'll be sure to get that out to them so they can get it out to all of you when the book actually launches 2 weeks from today. Thank you so much.
Outstanding. All right, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, where can they find you?
I have a private practice in New York City. So if they wanted to come see me in New York City, don't recommend it right now. They can find me on Instagram at Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, Lyon. I'm very active there. And then my website is drgabriellelyon.com, and Facebook, Twitter, same name. And of course, if you want me to come speak for your institution, please contact the Eagle Rise Speakers Bureau, and I'm of course available for babysitting.
All right, my team meeting, Mr. Ray Cascare, where can they find you and hear more about that Conquer Mindset?
Hey guys, I'm at Instagram at Ray Cascare. You can also hit me with that with Facebook. DM me any questions you may have. www.frogmindset.com. But if you need me for speaking or anything like that, reach out to Eagle Rise Speakers, and Jason and Erica would be happy to set up an appointment to chat, and let's make it happen. Boom.
Love it. Martha, tell us where we can find you.
Hey everybody, I'm on Instagram at mkotite, and I'll spell that Kotite. I also have a website, and that's www.marthakotite.com. And of course, I'd be thrilled to come speak with you, your group or your team. And please reach out to Eagle Rise, and Kim and Erica and Jason will hook us up.
All right. Shawn Lopez.
Guys, you can find me at Shawn Lopez on Facebook and LinkedIn, and on Instagram is Semper_Lopez, SLOPEZ. Okay.
Yes.
And when things get back to normal, you can find me at South Tampa MMA and Jiu Jitsu.
Yes, where you've been getting on it, man. I love it. And then, of course, last but never least, my man Brian Fleming. Where can they find you? Where you are spreading that positive message of leadership and relationships.
Yeah, if you want to know more about my speaking and what I do, my website is very easy to remember. It's blownupguy.com, because I got blown up a couple of times. I just thought it'd be funny. I have lots of friends who've been blown up. I'm just the guy who thought, hey, people forget my name, but they remember I'm that guy, one of those guys who got blown up. So it's blownupguy.com. You can see all about my speaking there. But if you want me to come talk to your organization, you have to reach out to Eagle Rise Speakers Bureau to do that through this because of this call. You want to find me on social media? It's just usually it's for Facebook and Instagram I'm on, as well as LinkedIn, and it's just at Brian C. Fleming. Brian with an I, Fleming with one M as in Mike. So at Brian C. Fleming. So check out blownupguy.com if you want to see more about what I do in speaking, and contact Eagle Rise if you're interested in talking more.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. All right, let's jump into some of these questions. I know that you guys have been answering some of them. Let's see. Right now, we got one for Brent Magnussen. It said, Charles Crosby asked, Brent, what happens when a goal is reached? How do you suggest people manage that letdown that inevitably comes with that achievement?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something I'm still working on every day. But I think the biggest thing is having different layers of goals. Someone I follow online is a guy named Grant Cardone. And Grant's famous for having goals so lofty that he even admits there's probably a 0.5% chance he'll ever be able to attain those goals. So for me, those top 10 goals, I'll have 1 or 2 that are big for the year. Like, you know, the earnings. Over the last couple of years with surgeries and procrastination, my weight has fluctuated. So this year, 2020, weight for me and fitness is number 1. I rucksacked with 30 pounds on my back, 12 miles on Sunday, 3 yesterday, 6 this morning, just because I want to suffer and I want to embrace that tortoise. And I think people get caught up in, oh, I hit a goal, now the balloon's deflated and I have nothing to do. No, that's awesome. Celebrate it and get on to the next one. That's why you're writing 10 of them and not just one. And I'm sure, I mean, Ray Care, I mean, he's side and side with Bedros Cooley, and these guys are doing phenomenal things. Brian Fleming, everyone. Jason has a whole section of a book. So I think there's a lot of different people here that can answer. That's my take on it. I have really lofty goals. I'm 43 years old. I'm very confident there's a few of them. If I continue to slay, I will not hit them by 70. But it's that constant chase. For me, it's the hunt. It's the constant hunt. It's the constant knowing I'm getting closer. Even if it's just a 0.5% day, I know I'm getting a little closer and it keeps me kicking. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and if I can chime in on that too, what you just asked is a great question. And a lot of military veterans getting out of the military face that same question. And here's the big thing I tell military veterans before they get out of the military: find your next mission. Don't get out and then float around wondering, what should I do with my life now? Like, find your next mission. So as you're about to complete a goal, just have something off in the distance. What's your next mission? Because you will hit that mountaintop syndrome. And it's a real thing. People don't get it. They think achievement and success is all great and fun, and it is. But there also is a flip side to that coin, and it's the devil, and it's complacency. It's white space on a calendar. It's what's my meaning in life anymore? Because there's always another mountain to conquer. Identify that next mountain once you've accomplished and climbed to the top of this one. So it's pretty much what Brent said, but that's my take on it. Maybe that's also another perspective that can be helpful for you.
I love it. All I'll say is, Brent mentioned Bedros Keuilian, who is a very high level entrepreneur, crushing it in the big space. And I love one of Bedros's comments: it's never peak. So even when you hit that goal, you look at what's next. Where do I go next to continue to raise that bar? I call it moving the needle, whatever it is. That's what it's about. It's continuing to drive forward. Let's see. Maddie Dransman asked Dr. Gabrielle, what about coffee or caffeine? Is it advisable to drink coffee before a meal or after? And then he's asking why. What are your thoughts on caffeine? I will tell you this: when I work with Dr. Gabrielle, she told me all these things she wanted me to cut out. Caffeine was one of them in the beginning. I told her that's a deal breaker right there.
Anyone want to borrow a baby? Okay.
She is pretty cute.
Interesting. Caffeine is actually okay. And as it relates to the recommended amount, you probably don't want to go over, and I say this very hesitantly, because the average operator that I see probably consumes around 800 milligrams of caffeine. Ray, Jay, Shane, a lot. So my recommendation would be to keep it under that. Really want to go for 600 or less. And that's a lot, by the way. Caffeine, I recommend up until 2 o'clock, and that's a pretty standard recommendation. I will tell you, some individuals metabolize it faster than others, and you'll know, and it's really based on some of the genetic capacity of the individual. But if you drink a cup of coffee and you're like this, then you're probably a slow metabolizer, and that 1 cup of coffee will stay in your bloodstream for the whole day. Other individuals, almost all the team guys that I take care of, they metabolize it really fast. They could crush 8 cups of coffee and wouldn't even feel it. I typically don't recommend coffee after eating. I do recommend it as a performance aid and as an appetite suppressant, and it's great for focus. So those things it does have its benefits.
I love it. That's your answer. I'm that way. Most of the time I can drink coffee even late in the evening and still go to sleep. My body just burns it. So, all right. Thank you, Dr. Gabrielle. Ian Pleat said, thank you, shipmates. He looks forward to socializing with many out there. Let me close that. Clint Ruffton, who obviously is a veteran, says, I down 750 milligrams daily. I love it. So, Maddie Dran's been asked the question, and it's to Brent, but I am going to open it up to others also, because I think this is a little more of a question for all our great speakers. What's the definitional difference of having a plan and we get punched in the face with that plan, and then having goals, a map? What if the goals fail somehow? Do you just adjust and keep going, or what is your recommendation? So, anybody want to take that one? Martha? Yeah, absolutely.
I can chime in on that a little bit. So I don't think it's unusual to having a goal and getting punched in the face, as you say in those words, hopefully not physically. And if you are, then you need to get out of that situation. But as far as being let down or not able to achieve that goal, I think it's about a reset. It's about a reset and finding out, okay, where's your team of supporters? Do you have that team of supporters? And how are you going to have them envelop you and surround you to get you to that path? And have you set up steps to achieve that goal? I have 4 steps to achieve any goal that I outline, and it's all about identifying what it is, who are the experts that you can lean upon that know more about it or have been in that world, so that you can call upon that expertise to help formulate how you want to get there. Definitely surround yourself with that team of supporters. And I too truly believe that with effort and support and people that believe in you, and mentors that don't look like you, sometimes it's going outside the regular box to find people that are going to say, yeah, I believe in you. And it can be done. So don't ever give up hope. And you can achieve your bigger, what I call a bigger dream, not just a dream, but that bigger dream. And there are steps to help you get there.
Yeah, I would chime in on that. I would say, in the Army, when we're planning a mission, I don't know how the other services have their operations orders set up, but we have a section sort of near the end, and it's called a fragmentary order. And basically what that is, we call it a fraggle. And very simply, it's this. If we plan a mission to go one way, and then we go out on the mission, and when we get boots on the ground, details may have changed. And so we have to adapt in the moment to what's going on there. And I promise, if you go after something, details are going to flip on you. It's almost never going to work the first time. Don't let that demoralize you. Expect it. It's the norm. So you have to decide in that moment, what's the next course of action. You don't change the whole mission. You change that little piece of it. And that's what that's about. As far as the difference between a goal and a plan, I would just say the goal is the specific outcome you're trying to get. The plan is how you're going to get there. So I hope that's helpful.
All right, I love it. The only thing I'll add on the end, because this is a big thing that's happening right now for so many people. So many people are including myself in my company. I mean, the goals we set for this quarter obviously got thrown out the window with a lot of things we're doing. But what I'll tell you is that there's a lot of people that got laid off. They had their goals, they had the direction they were going to go. And oftentimes when things are dire, when things fall in, when our goals get shattered, there's this natural tendency to think it's the end. And it is not the end. The reality is something better may be born out of the end, this crisis moment that you've encountered. So never think, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to get past this. The reality is, as you're grinding forward, you may not know what it is. It may take some time to develop, but I guarantee you a little later down the road, a new beginning will arise. And for many people out there, it's going to be even better than what they were doing before. And if the crisis hadn't happened, they never would have gone down that road. So oftentimes these the end moments when goals get shattered, they become a whole new thing that we never even would have entertained if it hadn't happened. Okay. Clint, not really a question, but I just want to give a shout out for you for re-enlisting at the glorious age of 36 in the Navy. So congratulations, brother, as a fellow veteran and Navy man. Marielle is asking, Ray, when did you choose to drive forward? So, I think, Ray, you've been through some adversity in your life. You've always pushed forward. What fueled that drive?
Can you hear me? Make sure you guys can hear me. The first time, Jason talks about life ambushes, but me taking my first mortar round. My father was murdered when I was 11. Had to move in with my mom at 19. The first moment I realized that I had to make change, I was drunk, driving, high, already been locked up, going down the wrong road. I looked into the mirror late at night and I saw my father because he died of the same principles. And right then and there, something Brent talked about, I took on the role of self-discipline where I decided I was not going to let that happen anymore. And that's where I changed my life around. All I've done, just all the positivity that I have is from all the years of negativity. I've just learned how to turn it around. And so it was at 19 when I did a self-reflection drill. I looked in the mirror, I saw my father. And I'm never going to see him again. So that's when it happened.
I love it. Good stuff. All right. Let's see. Dave Rogers asked Dr. Gabrielle, what is the best thing to take for joint inflammation? So a good medical question.
Well, the number one question is, why do you have it? And, you know, that can be obviously overuse, wear and tear. Another interesting issue is that if you have any kind of autoimmunity, that can also cause issues with joint. But let's just say we could attack it from a dietary standpoint. I love collagen for joint wear and tear and joint pain. And I would say we would all agree, probably, you know, Ray and Jay here, we love Bub's collagen. And actually I dose it pretty hefty. My recommendation is to dose for women 2 scoops of collagen twice a day, which ends up being 40 grams of collagen twice a day, which is pretty robust. For men and for any active issues, you want to actually dose it higher. And listen, there is no evidence. We don't know why it works, but I am telling you anecdotally in clinic, I use it all the time for my athletes, for individuals looking for high performance. So really dosing it above and beyond what you would think. So well over 4 scoops. And so that's something really interesting. And I'll throw something else out there for joint pain. And this is a pharmaceutical, which it's called low dose naltrexone. And at high doses, it's used to treat alcoholism. But at low doses, I'm talking about 4.5 milligrams. This is considered off-label use, can be phenomenal for joint pain. And it upregulates your body's own ability to heal itself. So we're not talking about a pharmaceutical that is really going to have a cumbersome effect. It helps heal.
Dave, I'm I work with Dr. Gabrielle. I had my elbow effectively destroyed. They talked about there's something called a capsule, which is what enables your joints to move freely. Mine was utterly destroyed. They originally were going to amputate my arm, and I use Bub's collagen protein every single day. And I'll tell you what, I mean, my arm still aches at times, but by using it and doing that, I attribute it to making a huge difference with my joints. And I definitely got a mangled joint. So I will echo and support that.
And I just want to add one thing. Peptides, and actually peptides, which they're pulling them off the market. There's something called BPC 157 and TB 500, just throwing it out there. They're very interesting compounds that are used off-label for those kinds of injuries. So.
Okay, one last question. It's and although they wrote this to Dr. G, I think this is actually a great question for any of our panelists because they're all positive mindset. They're all, how do we drive forward? How do we lead ourselves? And Jason wrote, what is the best advice you would give people to stay positive, active, and healthy during these times? So why don't we get 2 people maybe that haven't answered yet? And then we're going to wrap things up, guys. I'll let you know. So anybody want to jump on that one?
Yeah, it's keeping the positive attitude, but how do you do that? I like to use a daily routine of keeping the structure, of checking the boxes, using my accountability partners, checking in, going through the daily, the weekly, the monthly goals, and using my team and network to do so. As Jay, beats into our heads, the 3 Ps. Those are truly important, and it works for me as well. So it's truly one of those things that just staying focused, staying disciplined is key.
Anybody else want to take an answer to that one? Ray, Brian?
Yeah, I'll jump on. Yeah, man. You know, it's all about that pattern of life. You know, we talk about it, you know, pattern of life is what you do every day. You know, Brian touched on it. You know, there's no perfect plan. There's no perfect goal, guys. If you have to shift your plan a little bit, so be it. But you want to be positive. I do the same damn thing I did when I was working. When I take a business call, I'm not doing it in my pajamas. I actually get up earlier now because I know I have more time to try to achieve greatness. So, you know, ask, make, and take, right? Ask yourself, you know, why am I going to stay in bed, or why am I going to get up? Make the decision to do it, and then take action, guys. You are a direct reflection of who you are. You're a brand ambassador. And right now, like Brent hit on it, right? This is going to make or break you. This is our time right now to come out bigger, faster, stronger, smarter than we ever were. I am reading more. I'm in better shape. I'm pain-free. I'm using it. You know, I know this sounds horrible, but I am literally taking advantage of this. And that's the mindset that you have to have, is no matter how bad things can get, this is my mindset. It could always be worse. It could. And that is, if you're alive, things are good. So attack the hill, attack the moment. Like, and I'm reiterating what everybody's saying. Every minute of every second of every day of every hour of every week of every, it goes on. You need to get up and attack it. If you are in the mindset where, hey, tomorrow I'll do it, you're wrong. It's now. You have to do it now. Jason taught me that in teams. Speed of implementation. The sooner you guys get up and you start attacking the hill with that positive mindset, that self-discipline, the sooner you guys are going to see what the real definition of success means. Helping others help themselves by doing it, by starting it with you. Jay?
Love it, guys. All right, well, listen, that's all our questions. I just want to say thank you to all our amazing speakers. Guys, if you are not following them yet, they gave you their socials. I know all of them are putting out amazing content related to leadership, resiliency, positivity, optimization. I mean, all these great things that these leaders are speaking on. I know we all can learn from them. I learn from them also. So, and I'm honored to be working with them. They all have the ability to deliver, obviously in person, but they also have the ability to deliver virtually, guys. And right now, there's a lot of people out there that a little bit of motivation, a little bit of structure, and a little bit of positive feedback is a good thing in this crazy world we're living in. So if you're interested, obviously reach out to us, reach out to Eagle Rise. And we'd be glad to help you guys with that. And then afterwards, we will send out an email to everybody with the link to the video. So, you know, maybe you watch this and you want to show it to your kids, or you want to show it to a friend. Maybe one of the message really stuck with you. You'll be able to go do that. So I just want to say thank you to all our attendees for signing up, for sharing time with us. I once again want to thank all of our speakers, and I really appreciate all of you. I want you to have a great day. I want you to get out there and crush it.